Beirut, Lebanon was hit with two deadly explosions officials say was caused by a reaction from the 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate which had been stored and unguarded in the Beirut port for 6 years. 157 people were killed, 5,000 were injured, and 300,000 were left homeless. Though while many organizations and groups in Lebanon have been working towards stabilizing and rebuilding Beirut, three siblings in Newton have found a way to lend a hand right from their home. Following the explosion, Gibran, Anais, and Diego Mubarak came up with Kibbeh Kitchen, for which they sell and deliver their very own authentic Lebanese dishes and donate 100% of the profits directly to the Lebanese Red Cross.
All the food, like we have a separate, like it's separate from the food that we use to like make our own food, I guess. But our parents donate all the ingredients. So all like if you buy a platter that's $70, all the $70 go to the Lebanese Red Cross.
The Lebanese Red Cross is a non-profit organization in Lebanon. According to their website, they are, quote, led by volunteers whose mission is to provide relief to victims of natural and human disasters and help people prevent, prepare for, and respond to emergencies and to mitigate the suffering of the most vulnerable.
Right now, they have a kind of a split effort between COVID relief and Beirut explosion relief. So with the explosion relief, they have a lot of people being sent to hospitals that like with that immediate relief, and they're working on long-term relief also with rebuilding and finding people housing and shelter and food on that aspect. And with COVID, they're working on keeping it in track, like making sure it's accounted for, making sure it's not spreading, just like getting tests and stuff like that.
Not only has Lebanon had to endure two devastating explosions, but they have also had to deal with severe social, economical, and political crises all at the same time.
So in Lebanon, there's a political, economic, and social crisis happening right now. So the government has been corrupt ever since like the 1975, which is when ever since the Civil War ended, which was like in the 1970s, late 1980s. And so the government has been really corrupt, and they also had a really high debt. I believe their debt to GDP ratio was 154%, which is the third highest in the world. And they also had a lot of mismanagement in Lebanon. There's no electricity for 24 hours. There's sometimes it's hard to get clean water. There's like problems with like the garbage disposal. Even like basic things are really hard for the government to provide to the people. And because of the high debt, there was basically like a Ponzi scheme involving like banks where people that deposited dollars into Lebanese banks, the commercial banks lent it to the central bank, and then the central bank used it to pay back investors for like Lebanese bonds, and then people stopped buying bonds. So all the dollars that had been lent to the central bank basically just disappeared. So now, if you had if you had dollars in banks, I mean, your account has either been halted or or it's very restricted. So it's very hard for people to get dollars right now. Prices are rising a lot because the Lebanese pound is pegged to the dollar. So when there's fewer dollars, the Lebanese pound, the value depreciates a lot. So it's the first country in the Middle East and North Africa to experience hyperinflation, and food prices are rising by 200%. So it's very hard for people to afford food right now. The government's really corrupt, and just the crisis just added that to all this.
Along with being able to offer some help from all the way on the other side of the world, they have also been able to share their culture with friends, neighbors, and the town of Newton. On their website, kibbehkitchen.org, the siblings say that as a Lebanese Venezuelan American family, one of the best ways to connect and share their heritage with others is through food. A friend of Anais and fellow rising senior at Newton South High School said that she's been really impressed that the Mubarak family has been able to help those suffering in Lebanon while sharing a part of their culture with those in the greater Boston area.
Usually you see things like, oh, donate to the Red Cross, and people just like give their money, but there's nothing really like expected in return, which makes sense. But I thought this was a new way of giving money, but it's like, hey, you get something in return, which I thought was like a good deal.
Better yet, she said she couldn't get enough of their minutia.
I got kibbeh, hummus, tabbouleh, and manouche, but I think my favorite would be the manouche.
On their menu, they also offer family platters, individual platters, and extras, all of which have been made using their family's recipes.
I started cooking because I think my dad was cooking like a lot when I was younger. Like especially like the vegetarian kibbeh recipe that we sell is like a recipe that we grew up with because of him. Like he was definitely the one who introduced us. Like when we decided to do this project, I was kind of drawn to like, okay, let's cook more of the food that we eat like as Lebanese people, and like food that we've grown up with, and food that like we can sell and it's like good, but it's like relatively easy to make. We can make family sizes to have people eat and kind of share the food like we did with our family, like with their family. And I said this is a good method of raising money, and this would be like very important to us and very special to us.
Even their family members living in Lebanon have approved.
They're all very happy that we're doing this. We always send we send pictures of all the food that we make to them, and we like ask them for tips and any like recipes or anything that they can help us with. But yeah, they've all been very supportive, and they're all very happy to see that. Even though we weren't even born in Lebanon, and we've only been there twice, or he's been there 3 times, but we still feel like connected enough to the country that it's still part of who we are, and we still want to be helping them through what they're going through right now.
Though the 3 siblings have been making and delivering their food Tuesday through Sunday 4 to 6:30 p.m. since August 9th, they are planning to change their hours as they all will soon go back to school.
As of now, we are thinking of ending like everyday delivery except for Monday on September 9th, which will have been a month after we started. But going forward, we may do like, once a month we'll have on a Sunday or Saturday, we'll open again for like 1 or 2 days.
In just the short amount of time that Kibbeh Kitchen has been around, they've already raised $2,800, $1,800 over their original goal.
It's obviously not going to solve the entire problem, but it's like one step closer, and it's a little bit of help that we can provide in a way that we are good at and we know how.
Maxine Friedman, Newton News, Newton Center.